It is time for StreetWise with former chief of the New York City Sheriff's Department, former chief of the Seagate Police Department, retired New York City detective, Time Warner Public Access Media Award, Joe Franklin Super Excellence in Broadcasting Memory Lane Award, New York Veteran Police Association StreetWise Productions, host of StreetWise, Mr. Lou Telano.
Good evening and welcome back to StreetWise. My guest this evening, I would call one of the most bravest undercover police officers in the country. He might not agree, but this is just my thought and my feeling in regard to what he has done. He infiltrated one of the top crime families in the country for 6 years. And how can I say? Got away with it because we're interviewing. I'm interviewing him. So anyway, it's my pleasure to introduce. You all know this guy. I mean, if there was a movie on in regard to him and the story, as he went undercover in the Bonanno crime family, one of the top in the 5 families in America. Successful, obviously, and the movie was based on him, Donnie Brasco. My pleasure to have on StreetWise Joe Pistone. Welcome to StreetWise.
Thanks for having me, Lou. I appreciate it.
You know, it's not easy to do what you did for many reasons, but my understanding is they just don't take you in. You got to have, people may not know this, I could be wrong, correct me, but you got to have a certain specialty to get in there. You know, not everybody's a hitman, so you went in there dealing with jewelry and maybe hot jewelry. Am I correct on that, Joe?
That's correct. You know, in any undercover operation, you have to have a profession. I mean, it's all about being an earning money, especially with the Italian mafia. You know, you're an outsider, so why do they need you? They see that you have the ability to be a money earner for them. So my profession was a jewel thief. That was my criminal profession.
So how did you convince them that? But you had, I think you went and you researched jewelry, right, Joe?
Well,
you had to research the jewelry business. So you knew what you were talking about between diamonds and real gold and fake gold and whatever.
Well, when you go undercover, whatever criminal profession you pick or whatever profession you pick, you better know it.
Yes.
Because that's the first thing that'll take you down, is not knowing who you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to be. So what I did was I went to jewelry school and I spent time with friendly jeweler. And when I felt comfortable that I could speak proficiently about diamonds and precious gems that can identify certain ones, that's when I actually went out on the street.
Well, how did you reach out for them? You still had to be, and it still had to be an introduction.
Well, I didn't have any. This was a cold, what we call in the business, a cold entry.
Wow.
And the idea was because we kept the operation close to the vest. So we had certain bars and restaurants that we knew that guys hung out in. And the premise was for me to just hang out, get my face seen, and hopefully get into conversation. But to tell you how tough it is to get into the Italian mafia is, because everybody knows somebody.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say that I was actually from New York, because if I said I was from Brooklyn, well, what part? Yeah. And all they have to do is go to the neighborhood. So it took me probably 6-7 months before I got into any conversation with anybody of any consequence. And also what you have to do is when you go under, you have to know the group that you're trying to infiltrate.
Wow.
You got to study that group. You got to know everything about them. You got to know what crimes are involved in. You have to know the organization. Are they organizational? Is there a structure to it?
Right.
Do they have rules? and you have to know all of that. Some of the rules will help you knowing these rules will help you infiltrate, and then some of them know and will keep you alive once you're in.
Right. Well, so you were, before you were able to do that, how long were you a FBI agent, Joe? How long were you an agent?
I was an agent for, let's see, 6 years.
6 years. Well, almost the same time that you spent undercover.
Yeah, exactly. But I had done other undercover work before. That wasn't my first undercover job. I had come off a 1.5 year undercover operation where I had infiltrated a stolen card ring out of Florida. And what these guys were doing, they were stealing high-priced automobiles. You would come to us and say, I want a Mercedes-Benz.
Right.
Okay, what color do you want? What accessories do you want? And we get all that information, and then we go to Mercedes-Benz and hook the car.
Wow.
I did that for a 1.5 years.
That was
And I became, at that time, I knew how to hook cars, because you're getting in with the guys. You got to know how to steal a car.
But that wasn't New York, right? That was not New York, Joe. What state was it?
That was out of Florida, and we worked Florida, South Carolina, Georgia.
Amazing.
They're the states that we worked.
Yeah. Can I ask you where you're originally from? What name? I mean, what city? What state?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Pennsylvania. I was born in a little coal mining town called Robertsdale, Pennsylvania. But I actually grew up in Paterson, New Jersey.
Right, that's close enough to downtown Manhattan.
Right across yeah, exactly. And Paterson was a good education growing up on the streets of Paterson. So
that's what I meant. Now, were you concerned? Now there's Jersey mobs, of course, in Paterson as well. And were you ever afraid that you might get recognized from, let's say, somebody from Paterson and you're in Manhattan? Somebody might spot you hanging out with the,
That was always a concern, but I found out that these guys are really parochial. I mean, when I was hanging out with the guys in Brooklyn, actually I first got in with the Colombo family. Oh. I got in with a Colombo crew. Wow. That's what I first actually got into.
Whoa.
And these guys didn't venture too far out of Brooklyn, And then I had a problem with this crew. I got into a beef with 2 guys in the crew. It actually got into a physical confrontation with 2 guys. One was a made guy and one wasn't.
Whoa.
And I knew after that physical confrontation that I couldn't go back there with these guys. And I had met a guy early on, a Bonanno by the name of Tony Mira. I had met him before I started with the Colombos. And so I gravitated toward Tony Mira, who was a made guy in the Bonanno family, and that's how I got into the Bonannos. Just started hanging out with the Bonannos.
How'd you hook up with Mira? How'd you hook up with Mira?
Mira at a gambling den, actually a crap game. I had met a bartender after about like 6-7 months. And I become friendly with one of the bartenders who actually was, this is all how it goes, actually was hooked in with the Lucchese's.
Wow.
But I got friendly with him. And, just one night he asked me if, after about 3 or 4 weeks of finally having a conversation with him, he asked me if I wanted to, if I like to gamble. I said, yeah. And he said, well, I'm going to a crap game after I close. You want to come? So when I get there, it's not only Lucchese, it's mob guys from every family in this crap game. And that's how I met the Colombos, and I met Tony Mira.
So you mean to tell me there was no problem with all the guys? But I'm going to just, for the sake of the folks that may not know the different families in New York that's really widespread through America, like Joe Pistone mentioned, Lucchese, Colombo. There's the Bonanno, which he was eventually hooked up with, Genovese and Gambino. I think I didn't miss. I think that's all. There's five, correct, Joe?
Five in New York City, yeah, five.
Five, yeah, five. But how do you, Mike? The question is my understanding is that many times they could mix together. And you're telling me all these guys were at the same crap game.
Yeah, in fact, this crap game was actually, I find out later on, was actually run by all five families.
Oh,
And each family had a representative at the games every
Wow.
night.
interesting.
And then they would split up whatever their winnings were.
Amazing.
So they do intermingle. When it comes to money,
I guess so. Well,
they do become friendly and intermingle. Yeah,
So part of the goal is getting in there if you're a money maker.
that's exactly right. I mean, look, it's all about Benjamin. It's all about Mr. Benjamin. But if you can show them that you have the ability to make money, and once I had conversations with guys, and I never said I was a jewel thief. I never told,
Right.
but in the beginning, because I went to the games with this bartender, he was well known. Nobody questioned me. But then after a while, and I never talked illegal stuff. Then after a while, what I did was I gave the bartender a packet of diamonds, and I just told him I need X amount of money for this packet. For this, I didn't tell him what was in the package. I just gave it to him in an envelope, and I said I need X amount of money for this, and he said okay. And a couple of weeks later, he says, "Here's somebody left this envelope for you," and that's how. Now, I mean, now he knows I'm a thief because I give him a packet of diamonds, and you don't ask for Tiffany prices. You ask for, what the street price is.
Yeah.
So I never told anybody I was a jewel thief, but that's how they became known that I was a thief. And, like anything else, I'm not going out robbing jewelry stores or anything. But every once in a while I would bring around diamonds or watches and, said I hit the airport or did a job on your own. And that's a good thing about being a jewel thief. You don't need a gang. You can operate on your own.
Right.
So you didn't need anybody else. And as long as I was bringing that stuff around, they saw that I was active, that I was an earner.
And no questions, right? No questions
Yeah.
like where you got it from, how'd you get it? They couldn't care less.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So that was easy. Now, who thought of that? Did you think of that? Was that to get into the infiltrate? Did you think that you have to be a jewel thief, or maybe you thought of something else? Did you choose
Well, I
that?
talked it over with my supervisor at the time. It was a gentleman by the name of Guy Barato, an old time. Well, he wasn't old at the time, but I mean, he was on the job a lot of years. He was supervisor in New York. He's a New Yorker, so he's street smart. He did some undercover work in his day, and going undercover, you can't have a profession that's violent because being an agent, and same thing as being a police officer. When you go under, you can't become involved in violence unless it's for your own protection. So we figured jewel thief. Not many jewel thieves in jail for murder,
Right.
And it again, a profession you can operate on your own. So that's why we picked jewelry.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah,
Now, you know what I like, but interesting that the public, like you had mentioned in one of your conversations that I was able to watch, is that like in the movies you had mentioned, all the wise guys carry guns, and you say just the opposite.
The only time in my 6 years, the only time I carried a gun in that operation was my captain, my capo, Sonny Black, gave me one because there was a shooting war within the Bonanno family. for takeover the family.
Whoa.
And the side I was on, Sonny Black's side, they had killed 3 capos
Whoa.
that were in opposition to the boss, Rusty Rastelli, and they wanted to take over the family. But on a daily basis, no, these guys don't carry. They don't pack like you see in the movies, you know. And another thing too is that I never seen anybody pack with a shoulder holster or.
I know.
You know they.
Like they do.
Well, you know, you work the streets.
Yeah,
it's in their waistband. It's in their jacket pocket.
That's James Gagne, Humphrey Bogart, you know, movies style.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I that's the only time I saw guys packing, carrying a gun was when there was a shooting war, but only if we went somewhere, you know, like if we went to. We went to a wedding or you know, a function like that. I mean, they always had, you know,
somebody
access to them.
Oh, that access, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
You mentioned your capo before, Sonny Black, whose name is really Dominic Napolitano.
Sonny
right?
Black Napolitano.
He was your Napolitano was your big. Folks, a story with Joe Pistone and Dominic Napolitano, known as Sonny Black, you know, is very interesting. But he pretty much fell in love with you like you were his brother. Am I correct? Like you were his brother?
Yeah, Sonny Black was you know, he was a real gangster, but he was also, you know, a lot of these guys, Lou, are 24/7 gangsters.
Right.
And Sonny wasn't like that. I mean, he was a gangster, believe me, you know, a stone cold gangster. But what I mean by that is Sonny was from Brooklyn, and that's, you know, so that's where I had to go every day. Was to Brooklyn, and his club was the Motion Lounge, and
Williamsburg.
Yeah, exactly. Graham and Withers Street.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm Graham and Withers, and if I didn't feel like going back to, I had an apartment in Yorkville in Manhattan. And I would stay at Sonny's apartment with him. He had an apartment above the Motion Lounge. And, you know, and at that time, Sonny was a pretty powerful capo. I mean, he actually was, along with Joey Messina, the acting bosses, street bosses of the family, because Rusty Rastelli, who was the boss, was in a can. You know, the boss was in a can. And this was after they killed Carmine Galenti. So I used to stay with Sonny, and just BS about everything, you know. Get up in the morning, and like I say, he'd go. By the time I was up, I'd sleep on his couch. He'd go across the street and get us coffee and hard rolling butter. You know, he'd come back and we sit around just BSing.
Right.
And then he was a pigeon fan. He had those racing pigeons, and he had the coops up on his roof. And then we go up and feed the pigeons.
Wow.
You know, I mean, that's the type of guy he was. And he had a set of weights in his apartment, and you know, we used to do some bench pressing and stuff. I mean, but was he a gangster? Yeah.
Gangster. That was his profession, like you had your profession.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but you know, you talked about it, not only talking about the illegal activities, but we just BS about everything. You know, where some guys you couldn't, you know, you couldn't talk about anything, you know, other than what's going on with the mob. But
with him, you could. Yeah. So actually, you got close to him pretty much.
Yeah, I did actually. I got I got pretty close to him. Where in fact, one time he and I were out to dinner, And he said if anything ever happened to him, you know, if he got clipped or if he went to the can.
Can I guess? Can I guess? Take care of his pigeons?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that was second. But
okay.
take care of his family.
Oh,
you
very
know?
good.
I would
Very
look
good.
out, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Wow.
you know, that was that was the type of guy he was, and he's the guy that actually proposed me for membership in the family. He put me up for membership.
I know. We'll get into that in a moment. So he's responsible in plain English. Yeah, you got to say that.
Yeah.
Well, folks, my guest is Joe Pistone. Did a great movie based on what Joe did when he infiltrated the Bonanno crime family here in New York. And he did a good job. He was there 6 years. And the movie was Donnie Brasco, which many of you remember, which I know because people talk about it. And when I mentioned that's my guest, whoa, Donnie Brasco. I mean, he was just known all over the place. But the thing that people don't know, and I'm going to ask you the same question I'm sure you've been asked before. Now, you were married and had 3 kids. I should say,
Yes.
you still do. I mean, you're married and have 3 kids, and you're
Yes,
going into a mob for
same
6
kids,
years.
too.
How do you do that? You know,
Well,
or how did you do it? I should say.
you got to have a good wife, Lou. You know?
Mate, that's
And
going to say that.
I always attributed to being a strong Irish
I was going to say that.
lady.
You know,
And
just
very self-sufficient in her own
got to
right.
interrupt you for just 1 second because well, my late wife, she happens to be half Irish, and me and my late partner had to go to Denver, Colorado. It was supposed to be for 2 days, bring it back a material witness. So we stretched it out to 4.5 days. I have to tell you how that works. And she says, if you don't come home tomorrow, don't come home at all. So and so I'm saying, how did you do that? I couldn't do it for a week. I don't know how you did it for 6 years, you know.
Well, I think too is that when you initially get into undercover work, you can't get into it because you're trying to get away from something.
Right.
You know. So as long as the other party knows that you're doing it because it's your job, that you're doing in your mind what's right, and you're not running away from the marriage, or you're not running away from your supervisor, you know, on the job, and you're doing it for the right reasons. I think that helps a lot.
Right. She's very understanding. Your wife was very understanding. She knew what you.
Good lady, and hey, look.
Absolutely. You know. In fact, my late partner, his wife is Irish. There must be something in there. You know, Italian wife wouldn't take it. I don't think an Italian wife would take it. Who knows?
Probably not.
You know, it's just it's amazing. So, but I now watched the movie, but I can't recall how you got in touch with the wife during these 6 years, Joe Pistone. Telephone.
Yeah.
That was it. You
I
couldn't. I know.
Try to call home at least every night. Yeah.
Oh my! I don't know how you did that. Whoa.
Yeah.
Especially with the crew you're with, you know. But I know.
Well, you know, you always can find downtime, and what I mean by that is a lot of young undercovers, they don't realize that when you go undercover, you can't engulf yourself in that bubble, and just focus on the crew or the organization. And what I would do is I was always a workout guy.
Right.
And I tell them, hey, I'm going to the gym.
Good.
You know, I like the movies. I always was a movie guy. And even, you know, I say, hey, I'm going, you know, there's a good movie out. I'm going. Anybody want to come?
No.
So what it does, it gives you a full personality, you know. And a lot of young undercovers, they think, oh, if I say I'm going to go to the movies, or I'm going to go to the gym, these guys are going to wonder why. They wonder why if you don't do anything,
Right.
you know, and that's how I would do it. I'd go to the gym, and then I hit a pay phone, which are tough to find, but and I would go to the movies. I'd go to because I like the movies. I'd go to the movies, and not only that, it helps you clear your head, get away from the pressure of being with these guys all the time.
I can understand that because the mentality is different, and conversation is different.
Sure.
And did you ever find yourself like sort of diminishing your intellect, so to speak?
Probably in your own mind, sometimes you say, "What the F? What the F am I doing here?"
Yeah, that's what I meant.
What the F is this guy talking about? I mean,
Don't make sense.
Because they're interested. I remember one conversation. This is might be crazy, but one conversation was they were ticked off that the CIA couldn't kill anybody anymore.
Oh.
What do you mean? They can't kill the foreign people that want to hurt the United States. I mean, so they do have a sense of patriotic sense about them. And that was the conversation, that the CIA should be able to assassinate people that are trying to, infiltrate or bring down the U.S. So,
Joe, you brought up a good point.
Maybe we could turn them loose today, who knows?
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Going back to speaking of the mobs and I forget what Lucky Luciano, where he was, but the mob was always patriotic. Am I correct on that?
Yeah,
Joe Pistone?
Always. Didn't they help us during the war?
Yeah, that's Lucky Luciano. Did help us in World War II. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
and the guys, it's funny because even during my time, the guys, they none of them ever showed any dislike for the United States.
Yeah.
They all liked it. They were all patriotic about the U.S., about the country.
That's right. Yeah.
So
there's just people don't realize that. It's just more
patriotic.
patriotic. And there's a lot of people that who you would think should be or would be. Now, I want to just get back to the capo who you got close to, Sonny Black. His real name was Dominic Napolitano, and you got close to him, and you mentioned his pigeons and on the roof where you were staying, sleeping on the couch, Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So, in fact, by the way, I know the neighborhood, Graham Avenue, all that stuff. I knew the club that was there. I remember they had the casino that you're talking about. It was a club in Graham Avenue? Was that Graham Avenue or something?
Graham,
yeah, in Williamsburg, yeah. Now, I remember that because I did some work in it used to be the 8th, 7th precinct, that whole area. Became the 9-0 precinct years later. So I'm familiar with that part of Williamsburg. So, but the point I'm bringing out is you showed some, I don't know, like human instinct, not human, but very sympathetic interest, worrying about some. I always thought if somebody likes animals, they have some goodness in them, I think.
They can't pick up bad, right? he loved those pigeons.
Yeah. And it was a sad story with you and him is, I don't want to, whatever you want to talk about in the middle, but I just want to talk about the end with him, when they realized you were the undercover and he was accountable for you, right? He knew that he was going to get whacked, right?
Oh, definitely.
And he knew it. And yet, so what he did was, speaking of jewelry, he went to, I don't know if it's the same bartender that you made the introduction, who got you close to them, is that he left all his jewelry with the bartender and said two things.
Yeah, this was a different a different bartender.
A different bartender, but he did leave with a bartender that was close to him, right? And then two things. One of the things he was concerned about, of course, you mentioned family. He was concerned about because he knew that was the end. He was concerned about somebody taking care of his pigeons.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
And when I said before, a real gangster, and it goes to show what kind of guy he was, really. I mean, when he got the call, now he knew, agents went to him and told him who I was, right?
Right.
And the reason being, to see if he would come over to our side was one of the reasons. And he didn't. But when he got the call from the family, and now he had to tell everybody the story. And he gets a call to that sit down. He knows he's not coming back because of all the people that he had introduced me to, and plus the fact he had proposed me for membership. Now, I'm supposed to get made in December.
Right.
Right? And this happens in July. So he goes into the Motion Lounge and takes all his valuables, his pinky ring, his money, his car keys. The keys that are on his car ring, except his car key, and says to the bartender, I'm going to a sit down and I'm probably not coming back. I mean, he said that. And how we know that is from his lady friend, who after I had we had lunch with the FBI because she called the FBI and said, "Hey, I need to talk to Donnie Brasco." And they said, "Well, who are you?" And she says, "Well, you just tell Donnie my name and he'll know who I am." So we met, and she relays this story to us. And she said, Sonny called her too and said, I'm going to this meeting, I'm going to this sit down, and I'm probably not coming back. But I want you to tell Donnie that that I loved him, and that he was just better than we were. He was better than us, and he never flaked us. He never made us do anything that we wouldn't have done.
He realized that you had to do your job, and you were doing your
job.
Yeah,
but I mean, like I said before, Sonny was a gangster, but he had other, this other side to him.
Yeah.
He said he was just better than we were.
Yes, jeez, amazing.
And he did. He went to this sit down, and they clipped him. Yeah.
This is which I can't understand. I know that eventually they found his body, I think, decomposed in Staten Island, if I have that correct. Not a while back, but I think he went to Flatlands in Canarsie, downtown Brooklyn, to have this sit down. But if I'm not mistaken, but why did he go? So why did he go, Joe? Couldn't he left the country? Give it a shot. What do you think, Joe?
Why didn't he turn? Why didn't he come over to us?
That's the bigger question. Right. Yeah, it's the bigger question.
He didn't have in the turn. Yeah, he could have left, but hey, that was his life.
Yeah, I guess so.
And
he knew what he was getting into.
Yeah, that was the life he chose, and he took that oath of omerta, and stuck by it.
Unbelievable.
Stuck by it. I mean,
Jesus,
not many guys going to do that.
Well, they could do a Valachi, or Sonny the Bull. They could have done that, or
those guys didn't have the nerve or the Bull or those other guys didn't have the nerve.
Amazing.
Another guy like that, John Gotti.
I know.
Look
Exactly.
at John.
Yeah.
He went, did his time, right?
Yeah.
Went and did his time. He never gave anything up. I mean, you got to,
I know. I could say. I mean, if you're going to give him credit, that would be it. My feeling.
Yeah. Look, when you know the streets and you work the streets like you did, I did. I mean, you know what it is to believe in something, and not give up your belief when the pressure comes down on you. And that's what Sonny did. And like I say, I always say John Gotti was the same. I mean, he went to the can. He could have turned, but never. I mean, to me, that's a man. Both of those guys are,
Still, imagine still stand up guys.
Stand up, like they say. They were stand-up guys.
Stand up guys.
Yeah.
Exactly. And wow. Yeah. By the way, the actor Michael Madison played Sonny Black on.
Mike.
What a great actor. I mean, it was just unreal.
It
was just.
Yeah,
was his role close to pretty close to Sonny Black than Michael Madsen? Was it really close?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's just it's something like you said. With everything when you mentioned John Gotti. I can't, in my business, and I'm familiar with Ozone Park, the area, and Howard Beach, old Howard Beach, so no matter what. Nobody said anything bad about him, John Gotti. It's just...
it's strange. Those guys, I always said it. When those guys were in control of the neighborhood, wasn't the neighborhood safe? I mean...
Yeah.
You never... I know, back in the day.
Yeah. That's just a amazing guy, and I'm not going to ask you this, but I know you got to have some emotional feelings for Sonny Black. I didn't know him, but just knowing about him and reading about him, I do. And I was in the cop business.
I didn't want to see Sonny get clipped.
That's what I'm glad you said that. Just
I didn't want to see Sonny get clipped.
Yeah, but would you lose any respect for him?
Jail, but that's a different story.
That's right. But if
I have no problem with these guys going to jail.
Right, that's true. Yeah. All right. So will anybody lose Okay, I guess. I was going to say, if anybody lose respect for him, if he went to your side, obviously I guess they would, but you wouldn't, right? Would you lose any respect for him? Because I know you had some respect for him. You don't even have to say it, but I think you do. If he cooperated?
No, not really. No, I wouldn't, because I knew him. You get to know the type of person that a guy is. No, I wouldn't have. Because I knew that he was really a stand-up guy in the mob. He was a stand-up guy in whatever, in everything.
To the end, right?
The end. So
end, he was stand-up. Amazing.
I mean, some guys are, look, you dealt with these guys.
Yeah.
Some guys are dogs all their life, Sonny wasn't like that,
Speaking of people that might have been dogs all their life, Lefty, who was played by Al Pacino, right? So that's Benjamin Lefty Ruggiero, right? Yeah.
Lefty was a different type. Well,
different type of guy, right? He Stone Cold Killer. Was he a Stone Cold Killer?
Yeah. Lefty did his time too. I mean, Lefty did 15.
Yeah.
He never said a word. He did 15, and then they let him out because he was dying of cancer, and he eventually died of cancer.
Wow!
He talked about a stand-up guy. He was too. He could have turned, but he did his time.
And he was he was an old timer because he was, I guess, almost 10 years older than you.
Yeah. Yes, he was. Yeah.
So he comes from an older generation, older school.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, he was an old school guy. And I'll tell you, he taught me a lot about the mob.
That's, oh, jeez.
I mean, he was a great teacher, you know.
Wow.
He was a great teacher.
Yeah.
But he was a different type guy than Sonny, you know. I mean, I, I could have more conversation with Sonny about different things than with Lefty. I mean, Lefty was a 24/7 gangster,
Whoa.
you know, and he was a tough guy to be around.
Really, I guess.
He was a tough guy to be around, believe me.
Well, you know, he comes from my old neighborhood. He lived in.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and he lived in a place that I have a few bucks to live in there when I was a kid. Everybody lived in tenement buildings. This is Knickerbocker Village. I mean, it was like almost like a co-op or a condo, you know, in those days. They had they actually, we used to go there to watch the goldfish. They had a little pond in the middle of Knickerbocker Village, and you could sit out there, and they had a pond with goldfish on Madison Street, or, you know, it's a little American neighborhood, you know, and we used to say, wow, the people have a few bucks to live in there. We're living in a tenement building on Madison Street. We walk a few blocks to Knickerbocker Village, so you had to have a few bucks.
They had the inn to get in.
Yeah, you had to have that too. You had the connection. The connection.
Yeah, they had the connection, and I know they tried to get me to move in there. Once once they accepted me, they said, you know, Donnie, why don't you move down, you know, down here? Because like I said, I lived up on 92nd in York, you know, in Yorkville. And I said, no, I like it where I'm at, because now I'm, you know, I mean, I don't mind being with him, you know, 15, 16 hours a day.
Oh, my God.
I don't want to be, you know, 24/7 around the clock, you know.
Unbelievable. My guess is Joe Pistone. They based the movie on him. Sonny, oh my God, Johnny Depp played him at Donnie Brasco. So it's 6 years undercover with the Bonanno crime family. He's just, I don't know how he did it. It's just, you know, but he did it, and thank God he was successful. I want to get back to Lefty. You know, you said he was, you know, was he a little ubat, as they say, or postad, as they say, you know?
No, he, you know, he was a very complex character, to say the least. You know?
I guess so.
And like I say, you know, he was an encyclopedia of the mafia.
Whoa.
I mean, he would tell me, you know, he would school me how to act, how not to act.
Wow.
Around, you know, around different people. I remember one time him telling me when Rastelli was, I think, the underboss, he would drive him to Canada to meet with the people up in Canada. So he was respected in that sense. His problem was, I understood, was he had a little gambling problem, you know. Although I got to say, I never really seen it. And we had a bookmaking operation going on, but you know, it was Nicky Marangello's book, and Lefty and I would run it. But
he got close to you as well. You got close to him.
Well, that was my second Bonanno contact outside of Mira. When Tony Mira went back to the can, I started hanging out with Ruggiero. Like I say, he was a good teacher. He educated me on the mob.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had to educate Al Pacino to portray him. You had to do that. It's amazing. You know, it's just
Al's a good guy. I spent a couple days with Al before regarding Lefty, because he played Lefty Ruggiero's character.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with Johnny Depp, more with Johnny. I spent months with Johnny. And I spent time with Mike Madsen, Jimmy Russo.
Yeah. Wow.
Bruno Kirby. These were the main actors.
Yeah.
and I spent time with them going over wise guys and characters and et cetera. It was a good movie. Not because it's mine, because it's still around, man. I mean, it plays. It's got, as they say, it's got legs.
Oh, well, I got to correct you. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the reasons too is it's not a glamorous movie. It doesn't glamorize the mob. Everybody thinks.
Good point.
Lou, you see these mob movies, and you see everyday mobsters with suits and ties, and the boss has a palatial office and everything. Well, that's BS. They're in some social club.
I know.
Now, the boss might be in a suit and tie, but most of the guys aren't in suit and ties every day, and they're not sitting around in palatial offices and stuff. And we played it as it was.
Yeah.
I mean, played it as it was. It's all about making money. It's all about earning.
That's right.
So
that's right. You're close now. I just want to touch back on Lefty Benjamin Ruggiero, who was played by we just Al Pacino, of course. Now, is it true he carried 2 guns when he had to? Lefty?
That's what they tell me. When he went out on a hit, that's where he got the name Two Guns.
Yeah.
Lefty Two Guns.
Did you see it? Can I ask, did you see him wearing 2 guns? Have you ever seen him wearing 2 guns?
No, did I ever see? No, I never saw him wear 2 guns.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
But that's what I was told.
Yes.
Funny, I remember him telling me one time how you clip somebody, you get him right behind the ear,
Oh, boy. That's what you... Oh, my God.
That was the education,
He was...
They don't teach in at Quantico,
No, absolutely. So, now, where he lived in, I mentioned a moment ago, Knickerbocker Village. That's really folks walking distance to walking.
By the way, he was a hell of a cook.
Well, people don't realize a lot of Italian guys could cook. Yeah. So,
Pardon?
I was saying, a lot of Italian guys can cook, And
he was a really good cook. I mean, you see that scene in the movie where he was, where he was cooking. Well, he was a good cook. I mean, I had dinner at his house many a time.
Wow.
And yeah.
Well, so you actually had I just want to mention, go back to Knickerbocker Village, where it is. It's actually walking distance to Little Italy, whatever left of it, know. So walking distance to Chinatown, to give the people an idea where the neighborhood, the old neighborhood. I think that was the original many years ago called the 5 Points, going way back.
Yeah.
And they did a movie about
way
back, turn of the century. Way before the turn of the century, before the mafia influx of the black hand, which was like around 1900. Before that, that was in that. But it was So, how did you get? You had to have all these different personalities yourself, because you're dealing with Sonny Black and you're dealing with Lefty. The conversation, and the dialogue with you guys, and did you? I'm just trying. How did you get along, like speaking to each guy? Well, most of the times you're acting, really, because you're just going along. You're going along with the story. Well, so
I didn't do much acting, Lou.
I mean, what are you saying? You were yourself?
I was me. I was me. Yeah.
Was you?
I mean,
wow.
Because you can't look.
Very good.
You can't keep up a facade or a front, for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. What I mean? Because it wasn't like I left these guys and I went home. I left these guys and went to my apartment, because I had, my family lived across the country, so I didn't change my personality. I just stayed who I was.
Right.
And that's how I got through it. A lot of, mentally, that's another thing too. With young undercovers, they think that all, they're with they're with a group of a criminal element that they got to act tough. They got to, you just be yourself, man. That's it. Be yourself.
Is that why they picked you? Because they figure you fit in? Your character, your personality, your demeanor would be ideal?
Yeah. I just was who I am, if I didn't like something, I let them know,
Interesting.
The same way I am in normal life. And that's the key to undercover. Be yourself. Don't take another personality.
That's true.
If any young undercovers are listening, don't take on another personality. Just be who you are.
Listen,
because these guys are good BS detectors. They got that BS detected system in them.
They got to read a book. They have to read a book.
Yeah.
They got to. You be yourself. You could be yourself. You could fit right in like you did. Obviously, I want to talk about the five families. And now we mentioned who they were a moment ago. So the five families do, folks. They like Joe Pistone said, you got to make money. So if I miss anything, please let me know, Joe Pistone. It's racketeering, conspiracy, loan sharking, money laundering, murder, extortion, illegal gambling, bookmaking. Then there's corruption. And now the latest thing, which they didn't do years ago, is the drug stuff, the drug trafficking, right? Because they wouldn't do drugs. And when I was a kid, the mob wouldn't do drugs.
No. But, there's so much money in it that certain elements of did it. Like Galenti was a big drug guy. He had all the connections, overseas, Sicily, and for the importation. But on a whole, back in the day, it was just certain individuals that had the importation routes and everything.
Yeah.
And Valenti was one of them. But then it became where there was so much money involved that
they couldn't resist.
Everybody started getting involved in. And to me, that was one of the downfalls of the mob, where the younger guys not only making for money, in it for the money, but they start using.
They got hooked.
And back in my day, and I'm sure when you were on the street, wise guys, they never used it.
No.
If some did, it was very, very few. But and I saw it near the end of my operation, where the younger guys, started to smoke the weed and do the cocaine and stuff.
Yep. It's just amazing. Now, the mob today, right? Is it the same as it was? I'm talking about the New York, the five families, USA. Is it the same it was John Gotti time, say, or even obviously before John Gotti's time too? But is it the same today? As it was?
No. The mob today is, I think what the law enforcement has done was got it down to, it's just another organized crime group in the U.S. During our day, they ran the country.
Right. Yes.
I mean, there wasn't any aspect of the country that they didn't have their fingers in and get a cut of. They had, they had the unions, they had the Teamsters, they had politicians, they had judges.
Law enforcement, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, no, and they had law enforcement. Yeah. They don't have that today. They don't have the ability, to control the Teamsters anymore.
Yeah.
They might control a local, but they don't control the whole country anymore. And they don't control judges anymore, or politicians. I mean, like they did in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, they were big during the day with that, and they're out of Vegas. When they control the casinos,
Wow.
But now casinos are mostly owned by corporations. There's not
Yeah.
too many casinos that are owned by one individual.
I know it's different.
So
Actually, I guess it was. I think, my opinion, it was run better when the mob ran it. I think. You know,
well,
just
well, look at like I said before. Look at the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods
that's
were
what I meant.
safer.
You wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have it then.
Real mobsters were in them.
But I think in Sicily, the mob is still alive and well. Am I
Oh
right?
yeah, I'm talking about the U.S.
No, but I mean, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but where it originated. But in Sicily, it's still
Oh,
that hasn't
yes.
changed, right, Joe Pistone? That's still
Yeah.
it's still like it was. It's
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Before I forget, folks, it happens to be in the Hebrew calendar. It's New Year's. It's 5/7/8. So Joe Pistone and I want to say to our Jewish friends out there, Happy New Year. And
Exactly.
healthy
Happy
and
New
Happy
Year.
New Year, right, Joe Pistone?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so then we got to pay tribute to my Lansky and Bugsy Siegel then.
Yeah, they were
Right?
they were top gangsters.
Yeah, I know. And, well, Murray Incorporated, East New York, where my late partner came from.
Yeah.
That's where the Italians, and they had, that's the Jewish Murray Incorporated. Louis Lepke, the whole, in those years, you
Yeah.
know. So, my God, so it's amazing. Joe Pistone, I really want to thank you for being my guest. We're running out of time.
Hey, look, can I mention some of my projects I'm involved in now?
You got to mention. Oh my God, we got time. I got to mention what you're doing. Please mention you know.
I got a podcast out right now
Mention that. You got to do that. Go ahead.
called Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco. And you can get it wherever you listen to your podcast, or go to jamstreetmedia.com. We just finished our first season.
Oh, beautiful. Good luck
Donnie
with that.
Brasco, the real, it's Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco.
Now you have a book on that. Also a book. Deep
Yeah,
cover.
I got a book,
Yeah,
Donnie Brasco, My Undercover Life in the Mafia. And I just come out with an audio book called Capital White. And
Very
it's
good.
about the drug problem in the U.S.
Wow.
And that has to do with politicians being involved. And you can get that on Amazon. You can download that on Amazon. I wrote it with a very good friend and author, John Land. But again, my podcast, Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco.
Deep Cover is
We
the
just
podcast.
finished our 15th episode, so we're done
beautiful.
for the first season. And you can get it on Jam Street Media or wherever you get your podcast.
Wow. And I got to mention books, Unfinished Business, The Way of a Wise Guy, Deep Cover, Mobbed Up, Snake Eyes, and The Good Guys. He did that, I think, with Bill Bonanno.
Bill
It's 2
Bonanno.
years. Yes, he
Yeah.
did that. I know, amazing. So just, again, we got another minute. Mention your podcast so people could absorb
Okay,
it
the
again.
podcast is Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco.
Deep Cover,
And
The Real.
you can get it wherever you listen to your podcast or on jamstreetmedia.com. Jam Street Media.
Amazing.
Cover
Yes.
The Real Donnie Brasco.
Wow.
And we just finished our first season, 15 episodes.
Oh, beautiful. Good luck with the podcast and, and good luck with everything, Joe Pistone. Thank you for being,
you. I appreciate it.
in my opinion, again, folks, one of the bravest undercover cops in the country. Joe Pistone or Donnie Brasco, So good luck and God bless.
Thank you. And get on that podcast, please.
Get on the
Deep Cover,
podcast.
Real Donnie Brasco.
The real Donnie Brasco, folks. I'm going to plug that again down the road on another show.
Okay, thanks, Lord. I appreciate it.
So thank you, Joe Pistone. God bless.
Have a good evening.
Great
God
talking
bless
to you.
you. Be
Yes.
careful.
Hope to see you in the near future.
Yeah, one of the affairs. Yep.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you again. This is Lou Telano, and thanks for listening or watching Streetwise, and I'll catch you later.